I never thought I'd be writing this. Even now, 3 weeks later, my hands are still shaking as I type these words. But I need to get this out because the guilt is eating me alive, and I can't tell if I'm a monster or if I finally did something right for once in my life. My name is Sarah, and I'm 29 years old. I have a sister named Emma who's 26, and she's always been the golden child. Always. From the moment she was born, everything revolved around her. She was prettier, smarter, more charming, more successful. At least, that's what everyone believed. What our parents believed. What I believed for most of my life. Growing up, Emma could do no wrong. When she broke Mom's favorite vase at age 7, it was an accident. When I accidentally spilled juice on the carpet at age 10, I was grounded for a week. When Emma failed her driving test 3 times, Dad bought her extra lessons and a new car. When I passed mine on the first try, I got a lecture about being too confident and had to share the family's old Honda with Mom. College was more of the same. Emma went to an expensive private university. She deserves the best education, Mom said. I went to community college first, then transferred to a state school, working 3 jobs to pay for it myself. Emma partied her way through her communications degree while I studied engineering, graduating with honors. Guess whose graduation got the bigger celebration? But the real kicker came when Emma announced her engagement to David last year. David is, well, he's perfect on paper. Investment banker, 6-figure salary, drives a BMW, owns a condo in the city. He's also bland as unseasoned chicken and has the emotional depth of a puddle, but Emma seemed happy, and our parents were over the moon. Finally, their perfect daughter was getting the perfect wedding to the perfect man. Mom immediately went into overdrive planning mode. No expense was too much for Emma's special day. The venue alone cost more than I make in a year. The dress was designer, imported from Italy. The flowers were flown in from some fancy place in Holland. Dad took out a second mortgage on the house to pay for it all, but hey, Emma deserves a fairy tale wedding. Meanwhile, I was expected to be the perfect maid of honor. Smile, nod, agree with everything, and don't you dare complain about the bridesmaid dress that made me look like a stuffed sausage in seafoam green. I went to every dress fitting, every cake tasting, every venue walkthrough, watching my parents throw money they didn't have at Emma's fantasy while I struggled to pay my student loans. The breaking point came about 6 months before the wedding. I had just gotten a promotion at work. Senior engineer, significant pay raise, something I'd been working toward for years. I called Mom to share the good news, thinking maybe, just maybe, she'd be proud of me for once. "That's nice, honey," she said, distracted. "Listen, I need to ask you something. Emma's having trouble with some of the wedding expenses, and we're a bit stretched. Could you maybe help out with the honeymoon? It's only $8,000, and you're doing so well now." I sat there in stunned silence. My own mother was asking me to fund my sister's honeymoon to the Maldives, while I was eating ramen for dinner most nights. The golden child couldn't even pay for her own vacation. I can't, Mom. I just started this job, and I have my own bills. "Oh, Sarah, don't be selfish. This is Emma's special time. You know how much this means to her." Selfish. That word hit me like a slap. I was selfish for not wanting to pay for Emma's luxury vacation. I was selfish for wanting my own achievements to matter. I was selfish for existing, apparently. That night I called Emma directly. Maybe if I explained my situation, she'd understand. Maybe she'd finally see that I was struggling too. "Sarah, Mom told me about the honeymoon thing. I knew you'd come through for me. You're such a good sister." "Emma, I actually can't afford—" "Oh, come on. You're making bank now, and it's not like you have anything else to spend it on. No boyfriend, no social life." She laughed, but it wasn't a kind laugh. "Besides, when you get married someday, I'll totally return the favor." When I get married someday. Like it was some distant, unlikely possibility. Like I was so pathetic that finding someone to love me was a fantasy. I hung up and cried for 3 hours, but I still couldn't bring myself to say no. So I took out a loan and paid for their honeymoon. Because that's what I did. I was the responsible one, the one who fixed things, the one who made sacrifices so Emma could have everything she wanted. The wedding planning continued, and I watched my parents bankrupt themselves for Emma's perfect day. Dad started working overtime, looking exhausted and stressed. Mom maxed out credit cards, buying things for the wedding that Emma absolutely needed. The house started falling apart because they couldn't afford repairs, but Emma's wedding had to be perfect. 3 months before the wedding, something happened that changed everything. I was at Emma's apartment, helping her address invitations, when she got a phone call. She stepped out to the balcony to take it, but the sliding door didn't close properly, and I could hear everything. "No, baby, I can't tonight. David's coming over for dinner." I know. I miss you too. After the wedding, I promise. Just a few more months, and then we can figure out how to make this work. I love you too, Marcus." Marcus. I knew that name. Marcus was Emma's ex-boyfriend from college. The one she'd dated for 2 years before David, the one she'd claimed was completely out of her system. I sat there, frozen, as Emma came back inside like nothing had happened. "Who was that?" I asked, trying to keep my voice casual. "Oh, just David. He's running late." She didn't even blink as she lied to my face. That night I couldn't sleep. My perfect sister, the golden child, was having an affair. 3 months before her wedding. A wedding that was bankrupting our parents. A wedding I had paid for part of with money I didn't have. I told myself it was none of my business. Maybe it was just closure. Maybe she was saying goodbye to Marcus before committing to David. Maybe I had misunderstood, but then I saw them together. It was 2 weeks later. I was downtown for a work meeting when I saw Emma coming out of a hotel with a man who definitely wasn't David. They were holding hands, kissing goodbye right there on the sidewalk. She looked happier than I'd ever seen her look with David. I took a photo. I don't know why. Maybe for proof. Maybe because I couldn't believe what I was seeing. That weekend, at the rehearsal dinner, I watched Emma give this beautiful speech about how David was her soulmate, how she couldn't wait to spend the rest of her life with him. Our parents cried. David's parents cried. Even I got a little teary-eyed because she was such a good actress. But then she looked at me and winked, like we were sharing some kind of inside joke, like she knew I knew, and she didn't care. The wedding day arrived. It was perfect, of course. The venue was stunning, the flowers were gorgeous, Emma looked like a princess in her designer dress. Everyone kept telling me how beautiful she looked, how perfect everything was, how lucky David was. I stood there in my seafoam green bridesmaid dress, holding Emma's bouquet during the ceremony, watching her promise to love, honor, and be faithful to David. The same David she'd been cheating on for months. The reception was in full swing when I made my decision. I couldn't watch this anymore. I couldn't be complicit in this lie. David deserved to know. My parents deserved to know that they'd bankrupted themselves for a sham. I found David during the father-daughter dance. He was standing at the bar, looking genuinely happy, talking to his groomsmen about how lucky he was to have found Emma. "David, can I talk to you for a minute? Privately?" He looked concerned. "Is everything okay? Is Emma all right?" "That's what I need to talk to you about." We stepped outside to the garden. The music from the reception was still audible, but we had privacy. "David, I need to show you something, and I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." I pulled out my phone and showed him the photo of Emma and Marcus. He stared at it for a long moment. "When was this taken?" 2 weeks ago, and I overheard a phone call. She's been seeing him for months. I'm sorry, David. I know this is the worst possible timing, but I couldn't let you." David sat down heavily on a bench. "Marcus Chen, her ex from college. You know him?" "She talks about him sometimes. Says he was a mistake, that she was young and stupid." He laughed bitterly. "I guess she still is." We sat in silence for a while, listening to the sounds of the party inside. His wedding party. Their wedding party. "What do I do?" he asked finally. "I don't know." I'm sorry, I thought you deserved to know. David stood up and straightened his tie. I need to think about this. But Sarah, thank you. I know this couldn't have been easy. He went back inside, and I followed a few minutes later. For the rest of the evening, I watched him. He danced with Emma, smiled for photos, played the part of the happy groom, but I could see it in his eyes. He was broken. The next morning, I got a call from Emma. She was hysterical. Sarah, David's gone. He left me a note saying he needed time to think, and he's not answering his phone. What did you do? What did you say to him? Emma, I know it was you. You've always been jealous of me, and now you've ruined my wedding. How could you do this to me? Jealous. After everything I'd done for her, everything I'd sacrificed, she thought this was about jealousy. I told him about Marcus, I said quietly. The line went dead silent. Emma? You what? I told him about Marcus, about the affair. He deserved to know. You had no right. You had no right to interfere in my life. I had no right. Emma, I paid for your honeymoon. I've been cleaning up your messes our entire lives. Mom and Dad took out a second mortgage for this wedding, and you're cheating on your husband. That's different. Marcus and I, it's complicated. It's not complicated. You're married. You made vows. Oh, shut up, Sarah. You're just bitter because no one will ever love you the way David loves me. The way Marcus loves me. You're alone. And you're jealous. And you ruined my marriage because you can't stand seeing me happy. I hung up. An hour later, Mom called. Sarah Elizabeth, what have you done? Not, how are you? Not what happened. Just immediate accusation. Because of course it was my fault. I told David that Emma was having an affair. How could you? On her wedding day, how could you be so cruel? Mom, she was cheating on him. He deserved to know. That was not your place. Emma is devastated. She's been crying all morning, and David won't even talk to her. Maybe she should have thought about that before she decided to cheat on her husband. Don't you dare judge her. You don't understand what she's going through. What she's going through. Mom, she's been lying to everyone for months. She let you and Dad go into debt for this wedding while she was planning to cheat on her husband. Marriage is complicated, Sarah. You wouldn't understand. Right, because I was too pathetic to understand love and marriage. Where is Emma now? I asked. She's here. She's heartbroken. She says she made a mistake, that she was confused, that she wants to work things out with David. And Marcus? Silence. Mom, what about Marcus? She ended things with him. She chose David. She chose David after I exposed her affair. How noble. Sarah, you need to fix this. You need to call David and tell him you were lying, that you made a mistake. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My own mother was asking me to lie to cover up Emma's affair. No. What? I said no, I won't lie for her, not anymore. If you don't fix this, you're no longer welcome in this house. The words hit me like a physical blow. My own mother was choosing Emma over me. Again. Fine, I said, I understand. I hung up and sat in my apartment, alone, processing what had just happened. I'd lost my family. But for the first time in my life, I'd done something that felt right, even if it hurt. 3 days later, David called me. Sarah, it's David. I wanted to thank you. David, I'm so sorry. I know the timing was terrible, but... No, don't apologize. You saved me from making the biggest mistake of my life. Are you okay? I'm processing. I confronted Emma yesterday. She admitted everything. She said she was confused, that she loved us both, that she made a mistake. What did you say? I asked her when she was planning to tell me. She said she wasn't. She was going to keep seeing Marcus and hope I never found out. We talked for another hour. David was hurt, but he was also relieved. He'd had doubts about Emma, he said. Little things that hadn't added up, the phone calls she'd taken private, the unexplained absences, the way she'd changed in the months leading up to the wedding. I think I knew, he said finally. I just didn't want to admit it. A week later, Emma called me. She sounded different, smaller. "Sarah, I know you probably don't want to talk to me, but I need to say something. I'm listening. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for what I said, and I'm sorry for everything. You were right to tell David he deserved to know." "Emma? No, let me finish. I know I've been terrible to you. Our whole lives, I've been terrible. I took advantage of you, and I took you for granted, and I said horrible things when you were just trying to do the right thing." She was crying now. "Marcus broke up with me," she continued. "He said he couldn't be with someone who would cheat on her husband. He said if I could lie to David, I could lie to him too. Emma, I'm sorry. Don't be. I did this to myself. I destroyed my marriage, I lost Marcus, and I hurt you. I hurt everyone who cared about me. What are you going to do now? I don't know. Mom and Dad are barely speaking to me. They're furious about the money, about the wedding, about everything. Dad says I'm selfish and irresponsible. Mom says I've embarrassed the family." It was strange hearing Emma describe the treatment I'd received my entire life. "I'm thinking about moving away," she said. "Maybe to California. Start over. That might be good for you. Sarah, do you think you could ever forgive me?" I thought about it. Really thought about it. "I don't know, Emma. Maybe someday. But right now, I need time. I understand." 6 months later, Emma moved to San Francisco. She got a job at a marketing firm and seems to be doing well, from what I hear through Mom. David and I became friends, oddly enough. He's dating someone new now, a teacher named Kelly, who seems genuinely nice. My relationship with my parents is still strained. They eventually admitted that I did the right thing, but they're still hurt about the money and the embarrassment. Dad is working on paying off the debts from the wedding, and Mom is in therapy, dealing with her own issues about favoritism and family dynamics. As for me, I'm doing okay. Better than okay, actually. I got another promotion at work, bought my own apartment, and I'm dating someone. A guy named Tom who works in my building. He's kind and funny and treats me like I matter. Sometimes I wonder if I should have handled things differently. Maybe I should have talked to Emma first, given her a chance to come clean on her own. Maybe I should have waited until after the wedding, spared everyone the public humiliation. But then I think about David, about how happy he seems now with Kelly. I think about Emma, who had to face the consequences of her actions for once in her life. I think about myself, finally standing up for what was right instead of just going along with what was expected. I destroyed my family's perfect facade, but maybe that facade needed to be destroyed. Maybe we all needed to stop pretending that Emma was perfect, that our family was perfect, that everything was fine when it wasn't. I'm not proud of the pain I caused, but I'm not sorry for telling the truth. For the first time in my life, I chose honesty over keeping the peace. I chose doing what was right over doing what was easy, and maybe that makes me a better person than I thought I was. The golden child finally fell from grace, and the rest of us are learning how to live in a world where perfection isn't the expectation. It's messier, but it's real, and real is better than perfect any day.